got to remember is that Giant Alpecin has still got Luka Mesquet in there, who's in his own right an incredibly fast finisher and someone who is more than capable of challenging for the stage win. So all of these teams, anyone who's got the sort of idea of trying to win this stage today and haven't got one rider up in the break, they need to start putting some men in and really drive this on. It's not fast enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Nico Arndt is also there as well. So Mesquet has got a handy lead-out man. Bart de Becker, I believe, was busy trying to nurse Marcel Kittel back. Hasn't really worked out for him. CCC Sprandi Polkovici just showing their head as well. And Gregor Boller has an interest. Be looking to go, I think, potentially freestyling, although within this group there are plenty of the CCC boys wearing their traditional tangerine. You sticking with Modolo for this one?
No.
Well, come on then. 9.2 kilometres to go. Think of something. We're getting the pace up right now. But Caleb Ewan, he's got a great chance. He's got a team all around him. Francis de Gier also in the mix here. And finally, Ethics Quickstep guide themselves into position. Lotto Jumbo also just wrestling for a little bit of road. And at last, it seems they've come alive. 1:35. Still don't trust that clock. We don't know what to trust here, least of all the distance from home. So we'll get it when they cross the line here, Magnus.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's still round about that 1:30, 1:35. So these guys are doing a fantastic job to stay away.
Just looking at the line they're tracing on the road, it's a very wet road right now, and so I think that is possibly helping them out as well. Zielinski just pulls over to the side and lets the other two guys come through. It's Bodnar on the nose right now, and their time trialing skills are serving them very well in this environment.
Well, it definitely is, and the fact that they're all committed to driving this along. Usually, when you get into this time of a bike race, everyone is starting to sort of try and hold a bit back, try and work out where am I going to be, who's the man who's likely to go for an attack first, who's the guy who's going to be the fastest sprinter, what they're looking like, save myself a fraction. But that's the moment when you start losing time, in a dramatic fashion. So the fact that they're just committed to driving this along, and I think they will keep on doing that until they're in they can see clearly, okay, 2K to go, we're not going to lose a minute and a half, let's have a battle.
So they're going to take the bell right here, right now, and the clock will roll at the bottom of your screen. See what I mean? 7.6 Ks apparently this lap, but 7.8 to go, so clearly not 200 meters out. At least the clock at the bottom is correct. We understand, so let's just get a proper time gap right now. I think it will stop on the chase group. The brollies are out, and in fact the crowd here getting wet, but they're certainly not miserable, and neither of these guys. I think they've got a very, very good chance of bringing it all the way in, but we won't know until the chasers stop that clock at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So it says 1 minute and 26 on the top left. It looks like they're a little bit closer than that.
I think they're closer to probably about a minute at the moment, and if that's so, then this is going to be very close. It might be one of these that comes down to the wire.
There we go, and I'm just looking, and it looks like Luka Mesquet is in a great position here. Likewise, we've got Sasha Modolo from Lampre Merida, but can anyone stop the push of Orica Greenedge, who look highly motivated and prepared to engage in self-sacrifice at the moment? Astana mustn't be denied either, and the gap, as you can see, Magnus, you're just about bang on. 9 seconds out, but you know what, we'll let you off. 10 seconds out. 1:10 is the gap. Can they eat into that in just 7.6 Ks?
Yeah, 7.5 kilometers and a minute and 10. That's going to be very difficult, especially now when the roads are pretty much wet as well. So you can see how slowly they're having to go through these corners, and we've seen certainly last year on a number of occasions people come sliding down the roads for no reason whatsoever. Well,
they've got to do a big drive right now because they have got about 2 Ks of almost arrow straight. They'll then take a couple of turns before they've got the luxury almost of nearly 3 Ks where they can drive it down. So working road where they can really push on, add those two together. It's about 5 kilometers of road to work with. I don't know whether it's enough. 1 minute and 8 is the gap right now. These guys are committed. We know that. Question is, can they make it? 6 Ks from home. The race director just calling the bike to get away and stop assisting the breakaway, essentially. I know it's a Polish national team there, but the commissaires are wise to the antics.
Yeah, they definitely don't want anyone to get any favours like that, but look how hard the Orica Green Edge boys are trying here now, and a few more teams coming up, and no one's really giving them too much of a helping hand, and I'm just really quite curious as to why no one else is getting on the front and driving this.
I'm just wondering whether it's because it's potentially quite dangerous. Simple as that. They just don't fancy it. But Orica have been doing the job, and nobody's been helping them out, and I think everyone's going to lose as a result.
Well, it might be dangerous, but the most dangerous place is sitting behind everyone. The least dangerous one is on the front. So spend more time up there and drive this along to bring it back for a finish for their sprinter.
Well, they're starting to push on right now, but unfortunately it's still personnel from Orica Green Edge that's being shelled. Aston are getting interested, Lampre Merida likewise, but it's going to be minor places unless they really pick themselves up. Holding at 1:06 according to the dodgy clock up there, so can't read too much into it, I'm afraid, which is really hampering us, and I'm hoping it's not spoiling your enjoyment at home, but it really is a lousy clock at the moment. 5.1 kilometres, I believe, is the distance from home. We'll wait and see the banner, shall we? The 5K air bridge, I'm sure, will display itself. My goodness, the road must be nasty, or these guys just don't want to take any risks. Are they leaning on the gap that they already hold?
No, well, they can't go much quicker than that around these corners because it is so slippery in Poland on the roads. All the diesel, all the dirt on the roads tends to stay there, and I believe it's been very warm up here for a long period of time as well, so they haven't had an awful lot of rain, which hasn't cleared the road surface, so this will be like riding around on ice at the moment.
Less than a minute, but 4.6 kilometres to go. It's possibly all too late. Do you think the breakaway is going to make it?
Well, it certainly looks like it at the moment. 4.6k if the graphics are right. That's the 5k banner.
Yep, it looks about right, but I'm not sure whether the time is right. But anyway, let's just... sorry to be so vague, but I don't want to tell you something that may not be true, and we don't trust the clock. It's been proven to be out on a number of occasions. Well,
if the leaders were 4 point something k's out, and then the bunch were going through the 5k, you know, it can't be 50 seconds. It's too much.
There we are. They're starting to look at each other and maybe just leaning on each other a little bit, having a brief look into the eyes. Bodnar just checks out the view of Gatis Smukilis. That's a Polish and a Latvian time trialing champion in that order. So here's the camera. It just pans up, and here's one of these big long straights where we said the catch could potentially be made. That looks like still a very, very big gap.
Well, it's certainly a handicap for them, and I think it will be very difficult for the peloton to bring them back, and at some point soon they're going to start losing a bit of interest in that one, and certainly Orica have done everything that they can. Now they're out of manpower. Who's going to want to take it up from here?
Well, they just go under this river bridge, as you can see. There's going to be a big right-hand turn at the moment, in a few moments' time. Ethics are there. It could well be that our breakaway get themselves in the leader's jersey, and it's Zielinski who's the best placed, by the way, the Polish national rider, 16 seconds down. Bodnar 24 seconds adrift at the top of the day. Smukilis 1:27, so he's the least threat, Smukilis of Katusha, to the overall jersey competition, but frankly, that does nothing. The stage win here will go down very well with these guys who've done a lot of work today. They're maintaining their speed, and frankly, the chasers are not matching them because of the technical nature of the course, the wet surface that is basically making them fearful. It's as simple as that. And
a miscalculation as to when to start bringing them back as well. There certainly weren't enough teams that were keen on doing that. And right now, Ethics Quickstep are coming up on the front here, just looking after Kwiatkowski, trying to make sure that he stays out of trouble on these very wet and slippery roads. Well, there's a 5 kilometres per hour difference between the pack and indeed the breakaway at the moment. So they're going faster, these guys, but it's all too late by the looks of things. 2.7 kilometres to go and 3/4 of a minute if we trust the clock. Still driving it on, and I Am Cycling want to get Palucki into as better position as he possibly can. He's had a couple of very good results and bonuses to boot along the way. He's had a fantastic tour so far, and indeed Palucki is at 48 seconds down. Here we are, we're on the approach. Yeah, coming up towards the 2 kilometre to go mark. They're just got to come up the top here, turn around, back down towards the finish, so they're pretty much there. So, of the breakaway, who do you think it's going to be? Oh, difficult one. I think when it comes down to sprint, I would put it down to put it on Smukelis, the Katusha rider. But it all comes down to who's suffered the least in this breakaway today. So they've been out there for a long time, and it's not necessarily who's the fastest man. It's who's managed to keep some sort of energy left in their body, and
I think that's what these guys were thinking about as well. They're just leaning on each other. It's been a long stage, to be fair to them, 220 kilometres today. They've only got 2 of that left, or the breakaway have, but the margin looks big enough to bring it in. They've got 1900 metres to get home.
Yeah, 1900. Still the breakaway are going to make this one, I'm pretty sure, although the pace is certainly on pretty high at the moment from Ethics Quick Step.
Looks like it's going to be minor places for everybody else. Big turn coming up right now. They've got to take this so carefully. That's about 1.7 to go. That's that big sort of hairpin. So back down the highway, and the hares will see the hound. My goodness, it's going to happen for them. So it's a question of when and who might go. First little bit injection of pace comes from Smukelis, from Katusha. Out of the saddle goes Zielinski. That would be a real dream for him. He'd be in the leader's jersey at the end today. In fact, I think he may well be in the leader's jersey regardless of how the time bonuses pan out. If he finishes in second place, he'll have the lead of this race, for goodness sake, the way that bonuses work. So we're looking back, and I'm afraid alarm bells have gone off, but it's all too late, and it's Katusha that are engaging it on the chase down. This is Bistrom, I believe, that's going for it. 1.3 kilometres to go. All too late, my friends. It's going to be about these guys. They go under, they start to head for home. They've got a roundabout to deal with. It's a kind of a lazy one. My heart would love Zielinski to take this. There's that little ramp down. They'll take this little shimmy or two, and then they'll start sprinting for the line.
No, Smukelis will put himself in the third place here. Best wheel to sit now. And if I was Zielinski, I would definitely just drive this on, keep it going. The bonus seconds he would be taking are still going to be enough for him to keep to get the jersey and to stay to ride in yellow. Just focus on getting the maximum amount of time.
So just get the time, my friend. Just get as much of a gap as you possibly can. You'll see the rest start to appear as the security bikes wave. In fact, they don't even. They really have mistimed it, the pack. These guys are going to make it home. Out of the saddle goes Bodnar. Following on is Smukelis. Allows himself the luxury of looking behind. And in fact, riding this one in for a stage win, it's going to be Masej Bodnar. Thank you very much, he says. And second across the line is Zielinski, our new leader of this race. Then comes Galit Smukelis of Team Katusha. And the clock rolls, almost a pendulum of shame on these guys, I'm afraid, after mistiming it today. Caleb Ewan's just dancing his way in. That's Mezgets and, of course, Arndt as well, also to the frame today. But it's all academic, essentially. Caleb Ewan comes across the line, I'm afraid. But there we go. What about this time? 19.64. Is it enough? Is it enough? Well, we'll see. Caleb Ewan starting today, 10 seconds adrift. We'll wait for the results to be factored in. But Zielinski was 16 seconds down, 6-second margin, picks up 4, plus the time gap. It looks like Zielinski's in that jersey. Good news for him. What a day. What a day.
That sprint just comes down to tiredness.
Comes down to tiredness. 220 kilometres. The band struck up and they're playing my tune, I think, at Tinkoff Saxo, but likewise Zielinski. What a great result for him today.
Yeah, it was a good result for him. You know, he's obviously been out there and suffered hard, but I think if you're looking at how this sprint planned out, no one had anything left, and Bodnar is just, he opens up the sprint a bit. Smukelis can't follow him. Zielinski is basically struggling to keep pedaling as well. So, like I said earlier, it's not always who's the fastest sprinter out of the group, but who's actually got anything left in the tank.
Exactly. The sprinters teams appeared to have got something sorted out. Certainly Orica Green Edge. Caleb Ewan motivated, but frankly, it was a day of endurance in kind of grisly conditions. Tomorrow at Zakopane. We'll see how they go there when we get to the higher mountains. And then, of course, Bukovina, which is a really nasty day, the Queen stage on stage 6. Arms in the air for Bodnar, but credit as well, where it's due, to Kamil Zielinski. The Poles, they produce some decent riders. They have done for quite some time. fact, when this race was elevated to the Pro Tour in 2005, it was the first of the Eastern Bloc countries to have been welcomed to the upper echelons of cycling. 72 years the history of it, and the Poles, to my mind, have got a leader here with Zielinski of the national team, who found himself in the break, and he may not have got the stage win, but the grin on his face tells you everything. He's coming in second place, grin or a grimace, not quite sure. Smukulis in third on the day. Well, it wasn't much of a sprint, as you quite rightly said, Magnus, because this was a really tough day to engage in. We've got another one tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely a big one coming up tomorrow. I think we'll see all the major GC contenders coming into play and really battling it out. But what a good, strong day out there from Bodnar and these three breakaway riders, and they rode really well, and also had the benefit of the difficult climbs and the suffering sprinters with that, and no team really wanting to commit to try and start bringing them back.
There we are. So we wait for Zakopane tomorrow, then Bukovina, and of course Krakow to finish this race off. That'll be the individual time trial, but some big gaps starting to open up.